So we're recording, and yeah, when I started having OBEs, I would notice that there was these two different types of experiences I would have. One that was just super easy. Everything flowed, everything went real well. I was able to dematerialize and rematerialize, go wherever I wanted. Um, and then there was this other type of experience where no matter what I did, I couldn't do what I was doing. And I was fully conscious in the field, right? And so I would log this, and it was forever before I realized in the one, I was trying to do it on my own. And then the other, I was remembering that I had this other part here with me that was,
Mhm.
helping me through. And so anyway, yeah. Uh, and it seems like we never get it for good. There's always times when we forget and go off and try to do things on our own again. And same thing with practices. It's a
It's getting
challenge.
used to having that other part with you,
Connect.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and the easy experiences, I was remembering to connect, and the ones that I was struggling and having to use my own brawn, as it were, yeah, I was forgetting to connect. I was, trying to do it on my own.
so getting this connection, that's really really the first kind of step you want to take, really, to be doing anything in this area. Really, that's really
Step
the first
one, take a
move.
deep breath. Step two, connect.
I
Yep.
was reading your post about the body system, and how you described the back body system to get into that, to get that experience in the first place. It's all kind of the same thing about connect and preparing yourself for that experience. I need to read it again to what you said about that, but it kind of goes into the whole fear part and getting prepared and connect. It's all that initial connection, I think, is getting in there. So I'm trying
Yep.
to understand the central nervous system thing, and what's the blocks and the fears, and what's actually stopping those experiences coming in, how to prepare yourself so you can actually get that done. But again, that'll be connect. Connect. This is the
Yep.
same thing. I keep going back to the exact same thing. It's connect up first. That's the
It's
first move.
hilarious when you start to get it. It really is that simple. The answer
Yeah.
is always the same thing. Connect, connect, connect. Don't do it
And
on
that's
your own. And it's the same way with us in the 3D physical space. We can't keep doing things on our own. The whole purpose and function of what we're doing now is connect, connect, connect with each other. Yeah.
yeah.
Get together in groups, practice in groups, organize
Yeah.
in groups, you know.
I've noticed that it's quite hard for a few of us to do that. I noticed it in the experiment and the practice session. That is quite hard for us to actually come and do that. That's quite alien to a few of us, I think.
It
I
is.
think about a
It's the
practice in
hardest thing
itself.
in the world.
That's a practice in itself.
Yeah, trying to get together anybody in groups is hard. I work literally 24/7 at it and have for 20 years. And
I'm fresh. I'm fresh in.
Hi, Ioana.
Joanna has a bit of a sour throat.
Oh, well, that was good of you to come anyway. We'll let you listen a lot.
Good
Rather than,
idea, yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, we were just talking about practices and what makes them easy and what makes them hard, and how the answer is always the same. Connect, connect, connect. Connect with our inner guidance structure, and in the physical field, connect with each other, and the importance of connecting with each other and practicing in groups, doing projects together in groups. And at a certain point, when we have our group established, our group will connect with other groups, participate in larger projects, larger world meditations, larger out-of-body experience uh, projects, and all that. Whatever we want. If we develop channels, our channels will get together with other channels, do large projects in that way. Yeah, that'll be fun. I can hardly wait.
I watched one on YouTube the other night there from Rob's channel. It's about 8 hours long. Just channels after channels after channels having a meeting, just bringing all the energy in. It's about 8 hours long, and there's different channels sitting in one group, just coming in and in. It's quite interesting to get the name of it. It's really interesting how they. But that'd be the right way to do it. Just everybody bringing in their channels in one area, and just pulling it all in. And they were saying about the other beings actually watching that take place. There's loads of beings all around just watching that getting pulled in, bringing that in. That'd be something else.
That's always happening everywhere, no matter where you are, in the bathroom, on the toilet, in the right here, right now. Yes, the larger beings are always looking in.
What is it with the toilet? Because I myself when I sit in the toilet, I seem to have a bit of meditation sit there. What is that? I know you guys talk about that as well. You sit in the toilet and what's it with the damn toilet?
Yeah. Right? There's a question for the channeling.
Yeah. What the I mean, what is that about? Because that's several people said the same thing.
Interesting. I always have this thing in the dreams with the toilets. It's like total different recurring something that I was like, what is this for 50 years? Oh my God.
Isn't that funny how we fall for it every time too? You would think that we would get lucid in dreams when we're looking for a bathroom and can't find it or go into the bathroom, because it happens almost every night. You'll be able to bring back a toilet scene,
And since I noticed that it's so prevalent in my dreams, it's kind of stopped. So I was like, okay, so.
Well, so it didn't stop, but you stopped bringing back that part of the information from the night. Yeah. You're like, okay, I've had enough of toilets. I'm not going to bring back that data anymore. I'm not getting any more lucid by bringing back that piece of information.
You remember that my dream from last week, it was that I lost my spark. So that's a very appropriate.
Stars will always tell you to sparkle more. So what do we want to talk about today? We've been practicing a lot more. Anybody want to talk about anything from practice? Is anyone getting out of body?
Yes, maybe I want something. Oh.
No, go ahead, Ioana.
So one of my practices is the gratitude moment. And I've noticed that it's very easy to just get in and eventually out. But I mean, it's very easy to get into this noticing and just being grateful for everything, like for a spoon or for this little thing or this. It's very, very nice. And I never understood this concept of gratitude because I was always whom am I grateful for or to, and now it's more like so it's just a state of gratitude. It's not that you have to be grateful to something or to God or to something that it's not that easily named, especially in the case of people like us that don't have like a certain god or goddess to pray to. So it's just for the whole existence and just being in this life and in this body. And so it's nice. I can finally connect to that. It's really nice.
Good. Yeah, gratitude is an amazing practice. Again, something that we can do at any time, in any moment, even if we just remember one time a day when we've got that spoon in our hand and wonder how we'd have to eat without it. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I was saying come up with ideas, just little ideas for practice that you can work into your days, even the days when you are very busy and have a hard or challenging time even finding a moment, this is something we can do quite easily. It has a huge effect. It really does. As soon as you start being grateful or just exemplifying, as you say, the state of gratitude, the reality shifts. That is a very high frequency energy, and that is a new earth. It is on its own frequency. And it does sparkle more.
Yeah, it was interesting because my son asked me today, what are my general thoughts? I was like, about what? And he said, no, just general. When you are thinking, what are you thinking about? And so that made me like go in and really like realize that when I'm generally thinking, I either try not to think or to go into no thought or to go into less thought, or I try to think about the next future, the next days, or to make a plan in my head and to just think, and so not like just connect with the moment. And that was very interesting just to notice while I was telling him
That's
that.
excellent. You give me chills because that's the second time so far just in this call. I love it when someone gets it. You're listening to somebody talk and you just can, it's very clear they get it. You know? And yeah, that's vivifying. Thank you. Um, so when Anton, if you have your microphone working now, I'm not sure. And James, have you ever noticed just what's your general thinking when you're going about your day? What's going on in your mind?
I've noticed doing over the last few days, just breathing and trying to do the channel practice, that my thoughts are going all over the place. I have
Yeah.
lots of
So
a lot going on, so I notice that I'm not quite thinking about one particular. I have no focus.
what are you
I'm
thinking
nothing.
about? What are some of the thoughts?
It's generally the spiritual things, the reality, how it works, how I'm feeling about it, just things with past energies, the whole thing just always just flowing in my mind continuously all the time.
Mhm.
I can't narrow thoughts down into anything reasonable.
You
So
can. I mean, you can just sort of be aware of the general theme of your inner chatter. Are you running scenarios in your head? um, are you talking to yourself? Are you talking to someone else while you're running scenarios in your head? I often find myself talking to other people that I want to say things to, and so I'm having these inner dialogues with them, quote, from a distance, as though I were having them directly with them. And I find this and these conversations to be very real. They help me work through and work out what I need to within my own. I feel like I have that space for expressing myself to them in a way that I probably wouldn't have face to face without there being some level of conflict. You know, this may be someone I'm working with, or a family member of someone I'm working with, or something like this, of one of my own family members. So that happens a lot in my own mind. I find myself running these scenarios and expressing thoughts and emotions, pent up things that need some form of avenue. And so I have these very real inner dialogues with their inner selves, quote, from a distance. And I also have my own inner communication with my own guidance structure that is almost constantly going on behind the scenes. And we are in another scene, and often I can shift into them.
I'm trying to understand the perspective of my larger parts, how it views life. I'm looking at my life and how would the higher part view this whole situation? I do try and figure it out. I try and put myself into that position and look at life from looking down at it, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting trying to do that.
Anton, did you get your microphone to work? Do we still, we don't, is the volume by chance all the way down? Did you check the volume? It's a microphone. Do you normally use that microphone? You do? So something's just happening today.
I had a question, but I don't remember exactly now.
It'll come back. James, did you bring us a dream this week? James is frozen. There he is. We're playing musical chairs.
Mine froze and everyone just went off, so I had to just repeat
I know, you were frozen like this. I'm just kidding. You sort of had a blank look on your face.
How the usual.
Did you bring us a dream this week?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No, not this week. The last one I got is I'm not talking about some of these ones. Yeah. Some I share, some I don't.
Well, you can share even the ones that you feel are not shareable, just round it up into a basic humorous concept, you know. I knew this one girl on this one forum message board. It was my favorite board for a while when I first started going OBE. And she was very open, very, very candid, you know. And when she had sexual type experiences, which were basically the type that nobody really wanted to share, she would just sum it up as a wake and bake.
Well, I'll see how we can bake then.
I thought that was so funny. I'm like, I'm going to use that. That's cute.
I had a very fun time with Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, but there's always a way to share it. You don't have to be graphic and the way you share. You can just give the basic template, you know.
Yeah.
You know, this was a violent scene. This was a sexual scene. This was a, you know, something that happened that, you know, you're embarrassed about. So this was something embarrassing to me. You know, you don't have to share all details. You can just share the general layout of the land.
These are just sexual ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are big.
I did have a famous person. I got Cameron Diaz in last night. That was fun. I generally don't share those ones.
Well, still share them. Yeah. like I say, you don't have to be graphic or get too descriptive. You can just say, this is what the dream was. Cameron Diaz, sex, on to the next concept already. It can just be that vague.
Okay.
I don't bring back a lot of sexual ones.
I get too many. Must be
Probably because I'm
depressed.
monastic, and so, yeah, I don't know. When I started going out of body, started lucid dreaming, there was the astral sex one. It always surprised me too. Yeah, because when you're feeling with through your conscious mind and conscious construct, you're feeling those energies. Oh, every part of your body is lit up, especially the nether regions, and there's always going to be a field in which that is being taken care of, even if that's not where your fundamental attention is and it's in another field, because I'm generally aware of multiple fields. I'm aware that I'm in that other field and that's being handled there so that I can focus over here.
That was something came up in a question about lucid dreaming, about people asking that question. If you have those experiences in a lucid dream, would you still have a physical partner? And the answer was no. Everybody would rather just dream it.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of our contemporary ways and rules in regard to couples. So I don't know why people have a hard time with that. I do have to do my reality checks with 3D people a lot because I really don't, my perspective, my view, my experience of myself and this reality is so different than others. I mean, because I can look out at the drama and I just have no idea what these people are doing. I have no idea how this could upset someone. I have no idea why people get emotional. In fact, it almost makes me angry when I see people get so emotional. Two things can make me angry. One, weakness. It's really weird. I discovered that when I was 2 years old. um yeah, if someone is really wimpy, weak, I can get really angry. There's something in me about that. And the other is strong emotion, people who act out of strong emotion because they do the absolute most ridiculous things, and everything is wrong as you possibly could in order to help yourself. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah. So
I discovered that I have a very big sense of responsibility. So when I go on the street, I get mad about the fact that the street is dirty, and then I clean it, and then I get mad that people still are so throwing things on the ground, and that everything is dirty, and I'm mad about that. I'm like, no, that's not healthy, but it's still going on. So I'm wondering if it will ever go away.
I'm surprised that that's something that doesn't make me angry. And when I mean anger, I mean something close to rage. When I was talking about the two other things, it's a very strong anger. I am so neat and clean and organized and zen and clear. There's no clutter. There's no wasteful things. There's, none of that. It doesn't disturb me. Other people's messes don't disturb me in the least, unless it's body fluids. Like, I never understood why somebody would mess up a toilet and not clean it. That's why that situation in my dreams always comes up when I'm in the bathroom. It's always somebody who has used the toilet and has not flushed, or something. I'm like, who would do that? I don't understand who would do that.
But that's not handy with your line of work.
And I've never resolved this emotion either. It still gets me to the extent that it did the very first time I ever caught myself bringing that data back from a dream space. Yeah. Absolutely unresolved. Here's the thing about what we think is unresolved. We never know when we are in time in the dream planes. So when we're dreaming something when we're 4 and we're dreaming the same thing when we're 44, we could have entered the same dream. We could have entered the same moment. It's not like I'm still having it at 44, a dream that I had when I was 4, and that something is unresolved. It's that I chose to enter that same moment, that same data sphere for whatever reason. Thoughts?
I have this, but I have this with the so-called real life.
Yeah. The real life dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Because so, for example, I was thinking about a memory and with my grandpa, and it was very intense that moment, and just a very nothing out of the ordinary moment, but I was thinking about this moment, and I didn't see myself as the 5-year-old. I realized that when I was in that moment, I didn't. Yes, I was looking through the eyes physically from a lower point, let's say, but I was not a 5-year-old. I was never really like living this through the age filter. And also yeah, I'm never like, oh, I'm 50, so oh my god, or something. I have a big surprise when I see myself in the mirror sometimes, because I'm still like, I don't know, somewhere in my 20s.
Isn't it funny when you look at yourself in the mirror? I have
Who's
to say,
that?
I very rarely look at myself in the mirror. But when I do, it always cracks me up each and every time.
Well,
Because
it's
I
just
just can't.
mirrors in the dreams.
And in this room, I've got this big old mirror here in the room. When I look at myself in the mirror, yeah, it always cracks me up. I just can't believe that that's me. For some reason.
Well, it's not really you, so it's a bit your body, but I had like after I gave birth to Victor, my body changed so much, and my face also. So every time I would walk along with a mirror, I was like, who's that? Oh, it's me. So I'm walking in this body, so no, never mind, go.
What also blows my mind, talking about perspectives, this is very related to dreaming and out-of-body experience and all of that. But as far as perspectives go, it's really interesting to see myself in a picture that someone else has taken of me. You can always see how people see you and how people see you differently than you see you. When I take a pic, I see myself very differently. I am almost goddess-like in my vision. And when I take a picture of myself, I can capture what I feel is a very fair replication of myself until I see myself in a photo that someone else has taken of me. I'm like, whoa, is that me? You know? Yeah, it doesn't look a thing like me to me, although I can see that it's still me. Yeah, people can see you very differently. If I ask my niece to take a picture of me, it comes out very similar to the pictures I take of myself. When I ask my nephew, and I do this as a practice, I will have someone take a picture of me so I can see how they see me. My nephew thinks very highly of me. I can tell by the pictures that he takes of me. Yeah, he always takes me from an angle in which I look like I am a giant. One, like but anyway, yeah, his view of me is very interesting. But it's an interesting phenomenon because I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. What I also found very interesting is that a few years ago I was talking about something with color to somebody, and all of a sudden I realized that we don't see the same colors, and that we don't see that actually no two people see the same colors and the same world. And there was this is it a blue dress or is it a golden dress? There was this whole thing on the internet, and it's the blue dress, and then half of the people said it's a blue, and so half of the people said it's golden or something, or some other combination of
I
colors.
remember this. Yes, I
Yeah.
don't remember all the details, but yes.
It was fascinating because in my family, some said it was blue and some said it was golden,
I'll be right
and
back. I'm
me and
listening.
my son could also see it both. So, but I find it fascinating that you just have you think you see the same things, but you don't. So actually, we each have another reality.
It's the same with taste. I was speaking to a doctor one time, and they were talking about strawberries. They say there's about 5 different tastes of one strawberry. People taste that completely different from each other. Nothing's the same. It's just your visuals and your taste. Everything can be quite unique to each and every one of it. That's quite weird. And so is time as well. We're all a unique time slot. Because as soon as you move to get time dilation, so we've all got unique vision, unique time. Everything's unique, but you don't realise it. That's quite something.
And also, I think the taste has also something to do with smells, because I have this experience with the essential oils. Sometimes there is this essential oil that most of the people like, and some people say, "Oh my God, that stinks so much," and it's the same smell, but the way you perceive it, and it's just like that with taste, I think. But I was surprised about the eyes, because it just that you see different colors in different things. It's just amazing. But as a smell, so they say, for example, if you like an essential oils or you hate it, then it's good for you for something for you in that moment. But you can tomorrow hate it again, or you can tomorrow love it again, or it just, oh, I don't smell anything. It's also possible. So it's fascinating, all this, and all through the body then.
And we talk about this a lot, right? As a patterning of awareness. So this is a pattern of awareness. You're going to pattern your awareness in a particular way to have this precise view of the color red, this precise experience of the smell of broccoli, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's amazing that that much detail can go into our construction of our experience. Fascinating. Yes. All different. Now, does it actually mean we're in a different world? Here's the question. Just because I see gold and the other person sees blue, does that mean we're in a different world? Or are we in the same world, perceiving things differently?
It's hard to say. We've got experiencing, but we're still experiencing it quite uniquely. Are we in the same world? And there's always the other argument is about the experience reality. Is this just your own dream? Are these just characters like interact with each other? Are these just characters in your own very unique world? It's a lot of things can spin off from that as people try to understand.
You're either in your own personal field or you're in a consensus space. These are the 2 types of experience.
How do you tell the difference? How can you tell the difference between an interaction between two free wills, an interaction and one that's just running in your dream? How do you tell the difference between those two? I've had that in dreams before.
This has been a main focus for me in the consciousness exploration work. It's the question everybody has. Is this a lucid dream or an OBE? Meaning, am I in my own personal space or am I in a consensus field? That question is just asked time and time again, in this way and this way and this way repeatedly. So I began working it out for myself. one of the reasons I find myself so fortunate is I had that 4-year span of time to do it. Not just these spread out experiences that were a great length of time apart, you know, uh, literally 4 years going in and out of body, having experience of additional consciousness states in this field and other fields, right? And so I had this extended period of time in which to look, and that is still fully accessible to me now. Every moment that has ever happened is happening now. That means I have access to that large glance that I was given through that portal of 2009 and 2014 to keep looking, you know. And the article that I put out yesterday, The Role of the Body, that links to 2 other articles I've written. One about the Kundalini top down activation, which is relevant to what we're discussing and that question, and also growing beyond the personal field. There's a couple articles I've written in addition to that that are also related. I can link you to give you an idea of my perspective, but the concepts are very large. Essentially, they could break down to this. In this experience, am I fundamentally experiencing myself as a person? Or am I fundamentally experiencing myself as consciousness, in which is this phenomenal world appearing, including myself and all other persons? If you can, and you have to be very genuinely honest with yourself, these are very discrete and different experiences. You will very much know which one you are in. And that's how I tell. Okay, if I'm a person and I'm in my own personal field, I can't even feel you. There's no feeling of you. You are at a distance from me. I'm not touching you. I'm not able to know or be aware of what you're thinking. Meaning there's no connectivity and therefore no telepathy between us. These things don't exist. I only have your words, and I can't even really understand that a lot of the time, right? Because we're in Babel here. And so when you begin to grow out beyond your own personal field into true consensus space, and I often refer to these as one, the play world, that's your own personal bubble, and to the real world, which is consensus space, real consensus space. In the 3D Earth life, they say that we're in a consensus space. Prove it. Read that article, Growing Out Beyond the Personal Field, and you'll read my own stream of thoughts on that matter. Whether there is a shared frequency of the 3D Earth life, and there is, but whether we're experiencing it or not yet is the thing. Are we there yet? Are we in the real world, or are we still in our own bubble where we can't actually hurt anyone else? We're always going to start in our own bubble until we become nonviolent, until we understand free will, until we won't impede upon the free will of others. That's what breaks you into the real world. That's what breaks you out of your own personal sphere, out of your own, off of your own planetary body, and into galactic space. Now you have a much larger playground. And as this begins happening, as it began happening with me, I began to have the clairsenses. Okay, reality, the perception of the reality rather flipped inside out. Things no longer appeared separate from me because I could see I could literally see with my eyes, not just my awareness, but also with my physical eyes, I could see the space that connected everything. And so there no longer seemed to be this separation between me and everything. Everything was touching. I had access to everything. Much like the experience of this through the body is much like placing your hand on a speaker when the bass is set quite high. Okay, it's vibratory. You can feel it through your body, and you can feel it through the whole body. And these vibrations inform you. There's information in these waves. So I could feel myself developing communication, developing telepathy between myself and my plants, for instance, that I might be caring for, and my dog, Charlie Brown, meaning things that don't speak English. There was now this form of communication. And so these new experiences begin to come into play. And I can turn that on and I can turn that off. Meaning I can be aware of that or put that outside my awareness for the moment.
That's made me think about that last dream I logged when I spoke about. But the first bit, when I went into the scene, it was just like normal, no awareness there. But that woman I made eye contact with, that was a different feeling. That was a life. That was something else. The other ones I always see as soulless, but that one, it's if someone actually come into my dream for some bit of advice and popped out of my dream again. It's sort of thing. It was weird.
Uh-huh.
It was just like an eye contact, but there was a soul there. I noticed that there was a life. That was weird. The rest just characters, but that one instant was different. That was a different being in there, different connection altogether. It's weird.
And often that will happen when you're simply giving your attention to that point. Perhaps if you would have changed the point, then focus on another point, another person, that same thing would have happened.
Yeah.
Whether it's a soul, an individuated unit of consciousness in that person, or it's the consciousness system itself, consciousness itself that composes all of the individuated unit of consciousness. It's very hard. I don't know that it's possible to tell. In my experiences, know that in your dreams, you take your own thinking with you into your dreams. So if you're someone who is practiced at the thought that dreams are not real, when you get inside there, nothing will seem real. It'll seem like you pick up a potato chip and it melts in your hand, and you look at people and you talk to them and they're idiots. They don't reply to what you just said. But that's a reflection of what you yourself are thinking of the dream state, or can be, and often is. And so you have to be careful while you're in there, discerning when your own thoughts are being reflected back to you in the scenario taking place, and or when you're in an actual communication, with your guidance structure, for instance, your guides,
Yeah.
and
I've had it once.
and other real beings. Yeah.
I've had it once when I was younger, 18. I think I spoke once about that, meeting that old lady, helping an old lady across the street, and I looked at her. There was nothing behind her eyes. I get that soulless. I've had that once in real life in this experience. I've had that before, and I get it in dreams sometimes. I look at someone, there's nothing there. I don't get any reflection back. So I just describe it as soulless. It's an automaton and a being. It's so weird. I'm trying to determine
people, yeah. the backdrop people, the fillers. But
so that takes place here, right?
But if you were to give your attention to that one, the consciousness system would generally activate that character. it would play the part of that character.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And yeah, but if you're not paying any attention to it, yeah, it's not playing the parts. It's just filling in the gaps. And yeah.
So how many, and in the physical experience, how many do you think are just automatons here? You know, how many beings is the system just playing? I mean, you think of all these 7 point odd beings, just in human terms. How many of those beings are actually IOCs, and how many have been played with the system just in automaton? Do you know? And I mean, are we all IOCs here, or is it? Is there not as many of us here as it may seem, sort of thing?
Yeah. I had an experience, I had an OBE that really put through that information. It blew my mind. It took me a long time to process. In the experience, I was in an intersection, a huge intersection. And it was an intersection that was a square, like four street corners coming together where you could cross at each of them. And as I'm walking through this intersection, which is about, I'm going to say 10 people wide would be able to walk next to each other, there's these rows of people coming at me, and I'm like, whoa, I was just mind blown at the number. But as soon as I passed the first couple rows, I realized that the rows were being repeated. The same people in row number 1 and 2 were in 3 and 4. So it was just a mirrored effect of the same few people being mirrored, and infinitely to where it looked like there were thousands of people, but there were really just the 20, in the first 2 rows. Yeah. So things like that, yeah, can blow your mind. And then how many are not in the world at large, but in your reality? So I'm going to go ahead and go forward here. I've been talking to my own inner guidance structure a lot recently about the difference in not just my ability to perceive in the dream space and bring that data back, but also it seems to me I have a larger span of attention now than I did when I was younger. But maybe this is not accurate. Maybe this is what I need to ask, because when I was younger, I was aware I could bring back my entire dreams from, I'm not going to say the entire night because that's enormous what we go through, in the span of even a given night while we're in there, even the span of a given moment while we're in there. But I could bring back, what I was dreaming at the top of the night, the general type dreaming that was happening in the middle of the night, and everything from, the span of the early morning, into the hours just before waking. And it wasn't a challenge to hold on to this information. In fact, when I was younger, I couldn't exit those states very easily when I woke back into physical space. I would walk those dreams with me. As I got up out of the bed, I would still be in those fields as I was walking down the hallway toward the bathroom to turn on the bath and start getting ready for school. And that would happen, over a 10, 15, sometimes 20-minute period before the additional environment faded and I was just fully in physical space. And now it just seems so very different as I'm trying to, quote, get this back. So for 4 or 5 years after I had my awakening, 5 years, something happened. I still don't know the fullness of what happened. You could call it a psychic greeting. Carla Ruckert would probably call it a psychic greeting. So there could have been some interference, at that point, but it was only and always to my/our advantage. It were things that I still needed to work with and work out, just got highlighted. And most people, perceive of this type of work as bad, something bad happened to me. I don't think in that way. I don't perceive in that way. What was happening, I was thinking, oh, how fun. Well, this is something I've never done. Let's go see what this is. And that was, going to the car, sleeping in the car, not living indoors anymore. Didn't want to, couldn't, didn't know what else to do, and so it was fine with me, what was happening. There was still work to do. There were still people to take care of. At that time, I decided I'd stop working for money and start taking care of the homeless, which I did for 4 years on my own dime, on all of my savings. And then I started the project and asked people if they wanted to participate, in this project. And I was sort of doing some reporting work, bringing a lot to the public attention about what was happening in LA and all of that. And so, like, there was a lot to do. And I didn't mind that aspect of that happening at all. But it took me, and I still continued to have OBEs through the first 2 years steadily, and then things got harder, as my savings dwindled, things got harder because you can't not work for money forever, without beginning to feel the struggle. And then things got real physical, got real there. And that was nice. It's something I've never let happen to me before. It was a new experience. I got to see, a lot of my own self in there that I usually don't get to see because I'm usually in more of a state of comfort than I was at that point, meaning I'm usually working for money. There's usually not a struggle to pay the bills. I don't make much, but I also don't need much, and so it was always what I needed to get by. I always had what I wanted. I could feed myself healthily and not have to worry about how much things cost. I never looked at price tags, that kind of a thing. But during those 3 years, it got real. I had to really get creative with, with how I was now going to work with this. And that focused me very heavily in the physical field. So at that point, the OBEs and dreams would still come periodically, but it wasn't like my whole life where I'm always being aware of myself in these fields. There was this long 2 year span of time where there was almost nothing. And yeah, I could feel myself going down. In many ways, I could feel myself going down. I was putting on weight. Depression was starting to sink in. Yeah, I can't be away from the additional fields for too long. That's too much of a burden on this life experience anyway. So once I did my detox and everything and got things resituated here in the new space, yeah, and decided, okay, now I'm going to dive back in again. Now I'm having to, quote, get it back. And now I can see the differential. I can see more of the differentials. Well, the differentials give me a lot of information. And so I don't, or never would, say this sucks. Again, there's always observation to be made. So long as you're making observation and working with your critical observation, letting that teach you what you're learning something from that. You're learning how to do things in new and different ways. You're learning how to be creative in new and different ways. And you're learning your power because nothing's ever really gone, right? It's always right there. Whatever's in the way, you can find it because it's right there. It's in you. And you know what it is, especially if you're making observations, especially if you're noticing differentials. Because as soon as something that has always been happening now is not happening at all, you just look at that. Well, what's the difference? You go in there and see what's happening now that wasn't happening then, and you get rid of that. Dissolve that. You can see what you're doing, I was drinking coffee, I was eating sugar, all of these things I know are deleterious to my dream state and my OBEs and my consciousness explorations. I know what gets in my way. Everything, those things are like nails on a chalkboard. Anyway, the frequencies of those things will hold me very far from the frequencies that I am. They do not match, not in my system. They do not match. And so those have to be gone. And you just start getting it back. When I first started trying to bring back my dream state, it was very hard. That was fun for me. I gotta tell you, that was fun for me. That was work, whereas normally it's not, it's just always just there. I'm like, well, this is what it's like to have to work for it, and it's fun to work for something. It feels rewarding. It feels like you did something. It feels like you got something done, You sort of want to say, see, I can, work for something and get it on. And so all of those energies are very positive. So it's always very important to not close yourself down on something. Don't just say, well, this is just too hard. Well, this is just never going to happen. Well, I've just been trying forever. And, if you keep doing that, you're never going to get anywhere. Learn to make critical observation. If you're not getting any dreaming now, remember a time in your life in which you were, or even a simple day in your life in which you were. And just try to feel in there for the difference. Yeah. What was happening that day? You could probably feel that it was very easy on that day that you were doing it. Well, what was making it so easy? And you just keep going in and going in and going in. Observation of your own, as Ivana was mentioning earlier, your own mental dialogue. Okay, because this is going to help you be more aware of what your questions are. They're right there in your mental dialogue. You're always going over things you don't understand. In one way or another. And then you can look at how you're going about it and say, well, that's not very smart. Let me try to go about that in a different way, a bit more consciously. And then, you make changes. You quote, do something different. Because what you're doing isn't working. And so if you're never doing anything different, then you don't get very far very fast, right? I've been talking for a long time here now. I'm on a roll. Is everybody with me?
We'll get used to it.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, this is the only time I can talk, by the way. I can talk about anything spiritual. Practical life, after 2 minutes, I'm done. That's all you get.
I was wondering why do experiences go away when we're younger? Because I had out-of-body experiences when I was boy, just going into high school, but up to 13 years old, I was out of my body. I was wondering why that just goes away. Well, why does that not just stay with you in your life since you're having them anyway?
It
Because
does.
my experiences left. I don't get them.
No, they didn't. Still happening. Still happening.
Remember.
Not bringing them back anymore. That's the difference. So get real clear on what the difference is. Every night you go out of body. That's what the dream state is. That's you're going out of your physical body and physical space and into another body and another space. So every night, somewhere in there, you're coming conscious. Somewhere in there, you're coming conscious, even if it's just for a moment or two. So in there is every lifetime you have ever lived. And so in there is every moment of every lifetime and every dream state you were ever in that you ever became conscious in, you have access to. It's all right there. It never goes anywhere. You are it. It's happening right here, right now, never stops. And so once you come into that awareness and ride that thought, that is a good carrier wave. That will carry you where you're wanting to go. That will carry to you what you are wanting to experience. Find good carrier waves. Thoughts that actually help you rather than seemingly hold you from what you're wanting to experience. Find good carrier waves. I have a lot of good carrier waves. I have nothing but good carrier waves. Got real lucky. I don't go down easy. Yeah, because almost everything is fascinating somehow, except for drama. But but what's creating the drama? Now I'm interested again. Okay, I can learn something here.
So just keep having the thoughts and just keep having the wants. That eventually, hopefully.
What are you interested in? Sure. What's fascinating to you? What's fascinating to you? Yeah, just keep looking into what's fascinating to you and being open to learn more, not just the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, but more. And what brings the more? Your questions, your curiosity, your attention. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I'm back to just connecting with myself. I want that next level. That's what I really want the most. Yeah. Come see me, come on. I keep asking.
Everything is about preparing the central nervous system for that experience. So ask yourself, your greater self, what it is your ground level self needs to do in order to have conscious experiences. And then be willing to follow the yellow brick road. Don't ask for that guidance, get that guidance, and then shove it under your boot. Follow it. So what's something, let's go into this. James, you know the answer to this. So do not fight the question. You know the answer to this. What is something you need to do or stop doing in order to have conscious out-of-body experience, conscious contact with your galactic counterpart?
Stop drinking coffee.
Now, you know that that's what I would tell you, but is it what you know for yourself? Is that something that you know? Is that a thought you have?
For me, it's let go more. Just let go. Just let go of things. Just let go of myself a bit more.
Physical actions and activities are what are most required for you because these are thoughts that you have actually brought into full manifestation in your physical experience, not just thoughts that are not yet manifest. And so work on the hardcore ones that you have manifested all the way through to your physical space. So this can include everything, what time you're going to bed, what time you're getting up, what you are consuming, what you are putting into your body, what frequencies you are combining with. Yes, everything has an energetic signature. The energetic signature or frequency of that either is or is not aligned with conscious out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
So
mine was the anger and not letting go. That's the main one. And that's okay. The main ones for me. So, yeah.
And so
I always get when I do the meditation, I always feel it down in my belly. It tells them holding on to probably the wrong.
Think of this not in meditation so much as when you're living your life and interacting with other people. And so when you find yourself getting angry and about to yell, consciously don't.
Well, I don't interact with many. I don't interact with many people. That's what. No, just one issues, right. Really.
That would be the way to address that. It's not like you're not going to address it in meditation also, but you're not going to leave your physical, you're not going to still yell at your boys for something and then address it in meditation. No, you're going to notice when you're about to yell at your boys and don't. Yeah, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Work the energy back up into some form of higher frequency, some form of higher intelligence. And now say what you're going to say to your boys. You're still going to address whatever situation happened to be going on, only now you're going to address it from a different frequency, you're going to use this different energy to see what happens.
Might meet my boys on Monday. They're staying here Monday night. You can see what I deal with. It's not, the way times I raise my voice is because after I've had to say to them and speak to them nicely about 5 or 6 times, and they just do not listen. Until I raise my voice, right? That's the time they listen. It's just I'm not getting angry. I'm just going to do it. They just don't pay attention. They're so
Right.
wild.
Listen to that sentence. I just don't pay attention. Yeah. And so now you're going to pay more attention. You're going to notice when you're about to do it, and you're going to deliberately not. And then in deliberately not, and in deliberately using another energy, you're going to now notice how this begins to affect your ability to bring back information from additional fields of consciousness. Okay. And that's how we work it. That's how we practice. Everything we do in our daily life affects what happens in our nightly life. And vice versa. Everything we do in our nightly life affects our daily life. Okay. And yeah, so it's all connected. It's all connected. The more awake and alert and conscious and full of attention you are here, the more you are also in your dream state. Therefore, the more likely you are to become lucid. Okay, at that point, if one of the things you want to do is get curious about whether you're in a personal field or consensus field, then you can begin putting that out into the field and making your experiments. Yeah, getting the data to make it all the way back here with you, writing it down, and then keep doing that so you have a pattern that you can make observations with.
What's pinged me just at having the last conversation is how many people in my reality that experience actually the IUC, but once I but once I just backdrop. I'm wondering about that now.
You know why I would not do that? Because in the beginning, your thoughts will get in the way. Your thoughts that there are backdrop people will have you look for backdrop people, and because you're looking for backdrop people, they will be there. But that's just your own thoughts. Yeah, so you want to be able to discern a field in itself from your own thoughts being mirrored back to you in that field. And yeah, the whole thing is fascinating, don't get me wrong, but what you set out to see, you will see. You have to be a clear canvas, in order to get out past your own thoughts. You have to be a clear canvas so that new information can come in.
So we're back to getting out the wave again.
New information that may override anything any information that had previously come in, regardless of how strongly or mildly you attached yourself to it. Yeah. So what we want is new information. We don't want to look for something we have already heard of. Nothing new in that. Everybody's doing that. Everybody's manifesting their own thoughts in their own fields, but not many people are able to clear their canvas and let in new information to get out into a space they've never been in before, such as galactic space, a planet, another world with other beings, and all of that. Most people just end up sort of in a duplicate of the earth life. They're in their bedroom or in their house or in their yard. Most don't make it past that. The majority don't make it past that. That is amazing. But to stay there forever, not so amazing. Not so amazing is something new.
That makes sense. Things when it comes to the stargazing part, I never saw anything interesting or weird all the way through my life until this change happened. And when I look up, this is when you start to, so when you're actually more open to that, that's when it actually starts to come in a lot more for you, sort of thing. I've noticed that in the past few years with that one.
Yeah.
Just been open to it, just been open to something in general. I think can activate. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That
you
makes
don't go
sense.
out looking for it. You just clear the field. This has to do with the channeling too. Yeah, when I tell you I'm just sitting here, I'm just observing. I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'm just clearing the field and let what is wanting to come in come in. And, you know, when it does, then I report. Um, that was reminding me of what I was set out to say about the difference in my dreaming when I was younger and now, and me asking my guidance structure about this a lot recently. You know, last night it gave me the experience I'm more accustomed to, in which I'm very aware of myself going in to the night. I'm very aware of the initial hypnagogic imagery. I'm aware of my dreaming at the top of the night, in the middle, in the morning. And even getting up and walking around my day, I'm having no problem remembering details, you know, and that's more of what I'm accustomed to. I'm not accustomed to having there be nothing and me really having to struggle or, you know, going in there and it taking, you know, 2-3 hour session for me to really get a hold of some of the data from the previous night, not new data. I'm specifically going in for what happened in the night. Um, you know, and then really having a hard time holding it, you know, really having to make really precise concepts over and over and over again, you know, in my mind before I can open up my eyes and open my laptop to write it down. You know what I mean? Really quick before it's not even there anymore. That I'm not so used to. That is so bizarre. Yeah. Maybe I'm getting an idea right now. I think that, you know, maybe they were trying to make me more normal. So you know, normal in relation to other 3D Earth Life experiencers so that I'm more understanding of what it's like for other people. I'm very not, yeah, is that right, Ivana? You getting a hit on that? Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted to say. So you can understand what's going on in a very normal person who is trying to recall and then just touching it and then going out and yeah.
Yeah, I could have never imagined this before a few years ago. It's yeah, I was very not understanding, and a lot of times now I can still be not understanding. Um, uh, that's a part of my work. That's a part of anybody's work who has something beyond the usual, you know, because it's so usual for them that they don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also part of my work because I'm always between things. I'm like a bridger between. In the beginning, it was between corporate and not corporate, and between all these earthly things. But now it's a bridge between this and another type of being conscious, but not really like you. So not like all there, but it's like glimpses and maybe yeah. So I feel that's a big part of what I am here to do, and being a composter of energy. Like taking it in and then
I
doing
love it. Human composters. It's exactly what we are. That's exactly what we're designed for.
yeah.
And in scary ways when it comes to the 3D field too, right? Because we look at all this toxic material we're creating on the planet, materials that do not biodegrade, and you do understand these are being processed through human body systems. They're being put in our food and our prescription medications and over-the-counter medications in our water, in the air. And so we are literally having to compost or re-break down what we created in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, and
One
we
of
all
the
did create it. When we don't think, when or bring some attention in to what's happening in our world and the items that we purchase, you know, who we purchase them from, you know, what foods, you know, we're getting, you know, all of that. You know, when you pick something up in the store, you know, a question should be, how many people is this killing? Meaning to produce this, not by eating it, but to produce it. How many people did this kill? How many animals did this kill? How much wildlife did this kill? How much of the topsoil did this kill? And not supporting it anymore. We really don't vote at the polls as much as we think we do. We live in a commercial society, and our vote is our money. When we give our money for that thing that just killed quite a lot, we're voting for it. They would not still be able to produce it if we didn't give them the money to keep doing so. And so that's, you know, a principal part of the way that we vote.
It's kind of the way reality's going though. There's a lot more movement that way. A lot more people becoming more conscious of what's going on and what they're doing.
Doing it ourselves, doing it ourselves is important. There's always a way, you know, to go for the sustainable products, organic products, products that are or as organic as possible, not just labeled organic. Like there's a wide spectrum of organic, and so, you know, do your research, know who the farmers are around you, go visit the farms. They're always happy to tour you and let you know their stance on what they're doing. All of that. We just need to be more aware and act from that awareness. That's what will change the world. Not somebody else doing it, not more and more people doing it, me doing it. Remember, it starts in our personal field.